Kids are gonna pay for this! Cocksuckers! Pricks!
So hey, Prison Wallets, man, fucking another late night commentary, classic horror movie style. So I guess we'll kick the movie off first, and then we'll talk about our fucking Sleepaway Camp memories. But so what edition? We're gonna do commentary for Sleepaway Camp. So if you want to play along,
this is again Scream Factory. So I think this is actually the only Blu-ray version of this you can buy. Actually, I don't think there are any other Sleepaway Camps except maybe through Arrow Video, but it's like a UK only deal. So this is the Scream Factory edition for North America.
and I'm pretty sure this movie is one of those ones that's just on YouTube. Like nobody's trying too hard to stop people from just watching it. So if you got to go to YouTube, go to YouTube. Do what you got to do. But this movie, I mean, I'm sure anyone listening to this knows about this movie because this is a. But anyway, if you want to play along, I'm about to press play on play film on the menu in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, play. All right, so that immediately, right out the gates, in fond memory of Mom, a doer. That is the weirdest opening that there's ever been to a movie, and it just gets weirder from there.
Although the American Eagle Corps logo was pretty sweet.
Literally everything about this movie. So I never saw this movie back in the day, but my friend Matt mentioned it. It was probably 10 or 12 years ago. It was when I still lived in my mom's house, maybe longer than that. And he's just like, you ever hear of this movie, Sleepaway Camp? Like, I saw it as a kid and it scared the shit out of me. Like, we should go rent it. And we found it at a Blockbuster or something. And yeah, this movie just fucking amazed me because fucking, it's one of those movies that, you know, one of those like so bad it's good type movies, but people tend to exaggerate a lot about those, right? Where they're like, oh, you'll love this movie, it's so shitty that it's great. But it never is. It's usually just a boring fucking piece of shit. But there's those rare movies, like that's why The Room is so famous, because it really is entertaining the whole way through, because it's so weird. And I feel like this movie is one of those. Like, weird shit just won't stop happening in this movie.
But I don't think this movie's necessarily in the so bad it's good category from a personal perspective. I think it's just an oddity. Like, it's something... Right. I mean, when these slasher movies started really... ramping up and getting steam after Friday the 13th hit, they just became more like there were more of them all the time. They went from having like no slasher movies to like all of a sudden there's, you know, dozens being made every year. And
yeah, I would agree with that too, because like, yeah, a lot of people, especially now that this movie kind of has got some online fame and it's like famous for its weird shit. And yet people do kind of just lump it in of like, oh, what a shitty movie. But it's really not. Like, I just rewatched it a couple of days ago, and I'm like, this is kind of good. Like, it's just that there's those spikes, those moments that are so weird that there's no explanation for. Nobody in their right mind would do this stuff. But once you get past those, it's a pretty good movie. Like, it's not terrible, and it's like entertaining the whole way through, which is way more than you can expect from most of the movies of this time.
And I mean, I think nowadays too, this movie would have a totally different, I guess, reception, because everyone is so pro everyone's rights, so equal rights for everyone. So like gay rights, trans rights, rights for people who are visible minorities, so on and so forth. And the twist end of this movie the only way this movie is kind of, I guess, what happens to the killer in this movie, the only reason that's, I guess, a bad thing is that person was forced into that lifestyle. Whereas,
and I guess we should just spoil it, right? Anybody who's fucking seen this knows anyway. So yeah, the basic thing, which I really do think is a cool idea, is these two kids we're looking at right here. So there's a boy and a girl, and there's an accident when they're a kid. Their dad gets killed, and one of the kids gets killed. And then the living kid gets taken in by an aunt, and you think it's the daughter that survived, but it turns out the aunt is just a fucking wacko, and she's been raising the son as a girl because she wanted a little girl, and it just won't do that it's not a little girl. So yeah, it's like actually a really cool idea that now this this dude who has had to live his life as a girl has to go to summer camp and has never been involved in this level of socialization before, and like guys hitting on him and stuff because they think he's a girl and he thinks he's a girl, sort of, like, just doesn't know what he's thinking.
He doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah. And it's really kind of a good idea, and maybe it's a little much that drives Angela to fucking kill everybody, but it's a slasher movie, so of course, right? Like, I really think it's cool, but yeah, I don't know how you would do it nowadays. Like, it would be such a minefield to even approach this subject that you just could never do it.
Little steamers. Come on, please.
Now, what's weird, though, is like that basic little explanation that I gave. I mean, I like it. I really do think it's a good twist. It's a really interesting concept. There's so much other stuff going on, though, that doesn't make any sense, that is totally unnecessary. Like, there's like this dad and this guy. There's something going on where they're like gay lovers because they're going to do a flashback later where the kids walk in on them making out. And it's not really clear who this guy on the shore is. Maybe he's the husband of the aunt. None of it matters. It's all way too complicated and you can just ignore it all. But it's like... But those are the things about this movie that are so weird. Like, they flash back to this gay love scene for a second for no fucking reason. I don't know why that subplot's in here, but it is.
Yeah, because I mean, really, if you think about it, like the mother or the aunt or whatever who ends up raising the boy as Angela. I don't remember what the character's name is as a boy.
It's supposed to be Peter.
Peter, okay.
But raises her as Angela, and her kid, the cousin, is Ricky. Ricky is the crazy girl's real kid.
So it wouldn't matter which of the adult males was her, I guess, significant other. Why would that drive you to make someone else act in a lifestyle, which at the time, and this movie was early 80s, you know, why would, if you had a problem with your mate being gay, why would you then force someone into a transsexual lifestyle?
Yeah, so that's the other thing with this movie that is really not clear, is like one of the ideas I've heard is because of this traumatic thing that just happened. We just saw the dad get run over by a boat, and just, again, so bombastic. The music is way too loud. The skier there is just screaming like, God, somebody help, and it just keeps cutting back to her and it won't stop. So maybe the trauma of this happening, because they say that this is the doctor now, the crazy lady, they're like, she's coming, she's on her way, which again is like, who cares? Is it just because they're worried about their gay lifestyle? None of that is necessary. But one of the theories is that she saw that happen and that made her extra crazy. But I don't know. I think she's just crazy.
As a side note, the girl who plays, or the woman, I guess at this point, who played the Angela character in this movie, married one of the guys from CKY.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she's married to Bam Margera's brother.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. That's weird. I know I've never seen the sequels, but wasn't it Bruce Springsteen's younger sister that plays Angela?
Yeah, Pamela Springsteen, yeah. I've got both of those as well.
Yeah, I feel like I should watch them someday, but, you know, they're not by this guy, so it's just like a weird side thing. So, yeah, this aunt, way overacting. It's so weird. Like, even in this weird movie, she does not fit. But again, it's one of those like 80s things. It doesn't bother me, you know? Like, she's acting ridiculous. She reminds me of the Vine lady from Troll 2. Like, just like a play actor that is way overdoing it. But
I honestly don't remember Troll 2, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, well, just imagine this chick, but like Poison Ivy, you know? She's like this weird, like, tree lady that acts like this. And but I don't know, it's just kind of like, I like the directness of it, of like, if you're gonna be crazy enough to raise a boy as a girl, you gotta sell it, right? You gotta be crazy, and this lady is definitely crazy. There's no question. But even for all the weird plot stuff that hardly makes sense and seems unnecessary, some of it's pretty clever. Like, they mention that she's a doctor and that she's the one who did the physicals. You know, she's like, you don't need to worry about doing the camp physicals. Here they are. I've got your paperwork. So no one's going to notice that Angela has a dick. You know, like, they covered the tracks, and it like kind of makes sense.
You just jump right in there. She's got a cock. Big fat bone. You better tuck that bone, young girl. You're not going to be able to play volleyball.
Well, run along now.
And yeah, they don't really explain either. Like it's been 8 years. It's pretty clear that Angela has grown up in this family, and she's never been to camp before. But I guess maybe it is just I assume it's just that the crazy aunt is kind of protecting her and not wanting her to be involved in that whole situation.
Or not wanting anyone to know that she's got a big fat rod in her shorts.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but now it's like, okay, I did, you don't have to deal with the physical. And it's cool just because, yeah, like, I just remember the first time I saw this, like, they do kind of set it up that it's not like the greatest mystery of all time, but it is like, oh, it could be these few different people. Because everybody is kind of weird and ultra angry in this movie. They really get upset about nothing all the time. And, but then when you find out that it is Angela, it's like, it's legitimately, like, I remember that ending, that final shot. It really kind of spooked me. It, like, all the goofy, weird, dorky shit that happens in this movie is worth it to get to that point where you're like, whoa, like...
It's almost like it's erased.
Yeah.
Like... You totally put all of the fucked up shit you saw out of your head because now you're looking at this dude who you thought was a girl with his bone hanging out.
Oh, here it is. Sure do, you fucking pedo. Makes your mouth water, doesn't it? I love that in front of all the kitchen staff, he's just like, basically like, I love fucking kids. I love it. I'm gonna do it.
and all the staff is like laughing with this, like, oh.
So that old man, the old black dude, that's James Earl Jones's dad.
Get the fuck out of here.
I just found that out. Isn't that fucking weird? That this guy, the pedo, I don't know who he is. So that's one thing I was thinking, right? Is just real quick though about the end. Yeah, like it's just cool stuff with like she doesn't want to get thrown in the water. She doesn't want to take showers. She's got some boy that keeps wanting to make out with her, and like it's like, oh yeah. She's a dude. She doesn't want any of these things to happen. She needs to murder. Like it kind of makes sense. It's not the worst motivation in the world.
Well, and I read too that the boy who they had do the stand-in thing at the end, where you actually see the Angela / Peter character with his dick out.
Right.
So they did a life cast of the young girl Felissa Rose's head. And so there was the wig, there was the mask, but it was on a dude's body. And decades later, like 20 years later, he, commented, he didn't like it. It was really cold that night. Like, he actually pulled it was too cold that night card.
That's awesome. I love that too, though, because that final shot, it really is eerie. I didn't realize it was a mask of her face, but that makes sense. I just thought maybe they composited it somehow. But yeah, it's 1983. Of course, they couldn't do that. So,
yeah.
And just the way it freeze frames and the green tint and the creepy song while the credits roll, it's all just like stuff that a quote unquote real director wouldn't do, but it's so good. It's so scary and it like sticks with you.
And the grimace on Angela's face.
Yeah, it's great. So I was just going to say about the super creepy pedophile guy, because, like, so over the top, just right out the gates, unbelievable. So I was thinking, like, if one of my friends was making a movie, and he's like, hey, do you want to be in it? You can be the insane pedophile who gets killed early on. I guess I would do it, because it would be sweet to be in the movie and to be remembered as this weird character. But still, like, I kind of wonder, like, who says yes to this? Like, when they read the script... Wouldn't you be
this
like...
chick's walking like she just got off the pole.
Yeah, well, not to mention, too, it's cool in this movie how a lot of the kids are the appropriate age, but the ones that aren't are way older. It's like either the kids in this are 13 or they're fucking 28. Doesn't this remind you, too, of Wet Hot American Summer? Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah, a little bit.
And, like, this... I feel like you could edit those two movies together. Like, this is all happening at the same camp. Like, because it's so similar.
And it would have, like, Benny Hill music and shit.
Yeah. Well, I love, too, like, the awesomeness of lower-budget movies is that this is definitely not... There's no sets in this movie. It's all just at a camp. And you can really tell, like, when they're filming in the kitchen later, and there's just fly paper covered in flies. And you know was just there. That's just how that camp runs.
I mean, that's kind of how movies were done back then, though. It was almost always on location.
Yeah.
And it was very rarely on a soundstage or something like that, unless it was like a bigger movie like Star Wars or The Godfather, you know, stuff that was done on a lot.
And generally speaking, like, yeah, really it just gives it like production value or whatever. So the little bit I read up about this movie, I can't remember how much it cost, but not a ton. And it actually did really well. It was like #1 for a little while, just because, you know, whatever. It's fucking slow time of the year, slasher movie, let's go.
Look at this dude with his feathered hair, and he's practically wearing a Speedo.
And these fucking Long Island accents, man. Oh my god, they're so brutal. Like, some of them are worse than others. His accent's insane. Like,
Maybe take a walk into the kitchen, see if we can find you something you like. That sound okay?
yeah, because he doesn't say anything too hilarious there, but he's just, his accent is so fucking, hey Angela, what are we gonna get you to eat? Like, I'm fucking Long Island.
His shorts are way, way too short.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing too. I remember when you mentioned, you were like, "Hey, let's do Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Sleepaway Camp." And I texted back, I'm like, "Oh, I get it. We're gonna do super gay movies." And you were like, "Oh, I wasn't really thinking of it that way," because obviously Nightmare 2 has got all the weird gay shit. This movie, I forgot about the flashback with the weird gay flashback. The real gay part is just this one baseball game they play where all the dudes are wearing these cut-off shirts, and it's just like this isn't necessarily what I'd call a super gay movie, but it's just, again, it's just that spice, that weirdness of like, why is this happening? Oh my god, the cat is doing the climbing up on the TV. The cat wants to be inside Sleepaway Camp.
Do you know something I don't, Kitty?
So again, this fucking guy, right? So not only, I mean, that first scene when they introduce him, it's like, okay, not only is this guy a pedophile, he's an 11 out of 10 pedophile. The second, this is their first day at camp, right? They just got here. And they're like, hey, Angela doesn't want to eat this food. Fucking go in the kitchen, try to find some stuff. He's immediately taking her into the back room so he can take his fucking belt off. And he's crazy. How is this guy, like, were the 80s really this freewheeling that you could just not even hide that you fuck kids and just fuck a bunch of kids?
I don't even remember this part, to be honest. But, like, look at him. Like, he's ready to roll.
He sure is. There it comes. Yeah, it's been less than 10 seconds. About time to get your pants off, I think.
Like, holy fuck, he's really going for it big time. Oh, man. So creepy.
I got something you're gonna like real good. And he's all greasy and just gross. And like, when people fucking lose their temper in this movie, like, he's just fucking slamming a kid against the wall and punching things.
Yeah, that's fucked.
But it's awesome too, because this is going to be our first victim, and like, nobody on earth fucking cares that this guy's getting killed. They want him to die.
Like, did they not do a background check on this dude?
So I love too how everybody in this movie is so over the top. Like that guy Mel they just showed with the cigar, he's the guy who runs the camp, and he's always just like, oh, well, camp's gonna close, worried about the camp, and like just cover up all these deaths that keep happening. And the fucking James Earl Jones' dad is just the like, yes sir, no sir, fucking total stereotype. The pedophile is the craziest pedophile in the world. The muscle man is just like, hey, I'm Vinnie Barbarino. Like, I just love that everyone in this.
Vinnie Barbarino. Every time, do you realize every time we've mentioned Italians on this show, you've said Vinnie Barbarino?
Yeah, what can I say? He's the king.
Hey, hey, Tony Danza, you know.
He's the king. He's the WAP king.
Oh, man.
I mean, is he not? He is. Yeah, but like, this could have been like, you remember Camp Candy? You know, like, they could have made a cartoon at a sleepaway camp. Like, these characters they're not humans.
I'd have watched that.
Yeah, they should still make it. They could make it today. It'd be a hilarious fucking...
I had forgotten how overt this guy was in the pedophilia, and how well he played that sort of character.
Yeah, I never looked up his IMDb. I don't know what other roles he played, but it would be awesome if you go down the list and it's just like kid toucher, kid diddler. Like, every movie is just... So they did a thing here too. It was kind of a cheat.
This is the first day. Look at the ass of this guy's pants.
Yeah, he's just filthy. He brought filthy clothes to camp. So these scenes where you don't see the killer, you just see the hand. They did kind of cheat because it is a dude's hands. They didn't use like Angela's hands. So that's kind of unfair, but hey, you know, you can't give it away early on. So much swearing in this too. And this setup doesn't make any sense. Like, how is he off balance right now? Why can't he just push back a little from the wall? And he pulled the giant boiling vat on himself. So where are we at on the timer? We're at 23 minutes and he's screaming. I just want to figure out when he stops screaming. I swear it's at least a full minute. And then they cut to reaction. They cut back to him. He's all burned. He's screaming.
Look, those blisters were done really well.
Yeah. Yeah, all the effects are pretty good. All the dead makeup. It's like all way over the top. But again, that's just awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
And now they've wrapped him in a full body cast. He's still screaming. So he's been screaming for ages. But in film time, okay, not quite a whole minute. But like at least 40 seconds, this guy just screamed.
And they wheeled him by Vinnie Barbarino.
Yeah.
Hey! Like, that's the stereotypical Italian meathead. Look at that feathered hair. He's big and bulky, and he's got tiny little shorts.
Hey, Disco's not dead. Disco will never die. Hey, oh.
I wonder if they get any. I don't remember seeing this guy's legs. I just remember his shorts were really, really short. So I don't know if he's got like scrawny legs or what.
I think he's pretty built, but he's also the classic like super body, but he's also really short and kind of ugly. You know, like he's just compensating so much for. He's like, hey, I can't do nothing about my height and my ugly face, but I can have wicked muscles. Yeah, and so this dude Mel that runs the camp, he just fucking just a guy died, and he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Here, I'll just pay you guys all.
So there's no Italians left. There's no pedophiles left. Just these black folk running the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, some of them might be Mexican, to be fair. So when it cuts back, look at the flies on the fly tape. Isn't that gross? Like, that would be an awesome touch if someone thought of it, if a set designer thought of it, but nobody thought of it. Those were just there. You know? This is just a gross camp.
$50 a week. That's what they pay these guys.
No, sir. Always thought he had a little devil in him.
Wow. He always thought that pedophile guy had a little bit of the devil in him. You don't say.
Just the way that every day he would talk about
finger banging 10-year-olds.
I can't do other accents now. I'm just like, hey, yo, that's all I got. By the way, I'd like to apologize to the nation of Italy for calling that guy the Wop King. But
he doesn't mean that.
Yeah, I'm not apologizing to American Italians, but I will apologize to Italy. You guys, it's not your fault.
You brought Tony Danza here. Now you're gonna pay for it.
Whatever you say, sir. Good. And do me a favor, tell your friends here to say the same thing. You don't have
And I mean, I love this too. This movie's been like 20 minutes. Like, we've already got a horrible death. So I looked up this guy because I actually really like this dude Mel, who runs the camp. Like, he is, again, he's just like a total stereotype guy, but he's so good at it. And he was an actor in a shit ton of stuff, just bit roles and stuff. But this was his last movie, and he died of cancer, which makes it extra creepy that he's just constantly smoking a cigar. Like, this could have been the movie that killed him.
He had it coming.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is where it gets creepy too, like what they can get away with in the 80s. Like, I like that the kids, it's almost like Bad News Bears where they're just swearing like crazy, but they're at least acting like normal kids. But we're going to see a kid's butt soon. Like,
yeah,
that's a little weird.
Up.
It's like a little creepy. But these were the times, man. Fucking, you could make this movie and you could be #1 at the box office and just like...
Mind over matter.
But again, it's like, yeah, it's unfair when people talk about this as just like a shit movie. Because this is all competently done, you know? Like, it's well shot. The fucking sound design is good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
It's really not.
There's this adult.
And then, yeah, the second after we see a little kid's naked butt, here comes the first super gay guy who's like 35. Like, why is he part of the campers?
It looks like he's wearing guy liner.
I guess maybe he must be a counselor. Yeah, so this whole football game.
You don't know your sports very well.
I'm not a sports guy. Yeah, see, look at this. Look how gay this is. What the fuck's happening?
Look at these clothes.
So yeah, when I was saying that, you know, I identify both these movies, this and Nightmare 2, as gay films, this is the scene that made me think of this as a gay film. It's just so gay. Like, why is it a team of kids versus a team of grown gay men? Like, what is this? But again, like, so this is total filler. I mean, this baseball game has no bearing, means nothing. It's just to make the movie long enough. But it's still weirdly interesting because it's gay men versus small children for no reason. Like, that's what I love about this movie. Yeah.
Like,
big swinging balls. If there were deleted scenes for this movie, it would be these men fucking these kids. You know?
Oh, man.
Was he safe? I guess the guy dropped the ball, right? I don't know, sports, whatever. Fucking. And like the other guy has got a pretty cut off shirt, fairly inappropriate, this guy. But the first dude, look at it. What is that? I've never seen a cut off shirt that cut off. It barely covers his nipples.
I saw you wearing that same type of shirt last week.
Like, that's one thing I wonder too. Like, so this movie did pretty well back in the day. A lot of people went to see this in the theater. Do you think Do you think they found anything weird about this? Or were they just like, another 80s weekend at the cinema? Fucking calling them baldies, playing ball with half-naked dudes. It really is a shame, because, like, this was the only movie that this guy made. He wrote and directed it, and then, like, yeah, somebody else made the sequels. And it's a shame that when they finally made a real sequel in, like, the early 2000s, I think it came out in the late 2000s, but me and Matt watched it, and, like, I just don't even remember it. It was just not good.
Yeah, they brought Felissa Rose back, right? Like,
yeah, and it was about this, like, one kid in a new camp who is just a weirdo, and you think he's killing people, but I think it was just Angela again. I don't know. It fucking sucked. And it's weird that you can only catch lightning once, because this movie, it's like, it's packed with things, you know? They might not be good, but there's always something interesting and weird happening. And it's a shame that his other movie just nothing. Like, it's weird to say that this guy had talent that he lost, but
that one kid with the maroon colored shirt with Cobra on it, I had one of those Cobra shirts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Look at this lame bullshit dance.
It's nice too, because this is the only sort of, you know, slow part of this movie. There's a bit of stuff here in this first half hour that is just, you know, life at camp. And then people just start getting killed constantly in insane ways. Like, I don't know if any of the kills in this movie are even possible.
Look at that mullet.
Yeah. The fucking Georgia waterfalls. Because like that first one, the big vat of water falling on a guy, it's a good idea. It's a gross idea to get burned like that, but the way it happened was ridiculous and made no sense. And I'm pretty sure as we go through all these kills, like none of them make any fucking sense. They're just not possible. So yeah, again, this is like, it's not portrayed in a subtle way, but this is cool. Like, when you know what's going on, that she's just obviously been like a shut-in kid raised by that super weirdo, and you know, having a dong. So she hasn't been just out in public by herself, really, because Ricky, you know, has been to this camp, but she hasn't. This is Angela's first year, and now she's dealing with just dudes coming up and chatting her up and stuff, and she's just like, she's just shut down. She's just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do about this?
And here comes the Mal straight out of chemotherapy.
It was like, it's the 80s. There is no cancer. It's okay. Hey, if the cancer didn't get me, the AIDS woulda.
Look at that fucking hat.
Hey, Angela, how's this? Remind you of anyone you know?
Yo, Angela, how come you're so fucked up?
And like these kids immediately go from like, hey Angela, you want to hang out, to just like, oh, well fuck you then, bitch.
The little kid doesn't think twice about like throwing down.
Just a little pit bull just freaking out. That Angela stare is classic. And Mel's just like, let him get it out of the system. Fuck it. It's funny too, so Mel's just hanging out with this Meg girl, and earlier they were talking too. They have their whole own little subplot, because later in the movie, they have a date they're gonna go on. Which again is just like, how is everything in this movie about gay rapist pedophiles? Like, what is going on? Like, if you're not gay, you're a pedophile. If you're not a pedophile, you're a murderer. Like, everything in this movie is so fucking weird.
She's just staring through all this shit, like.
But this guy, he's like, here's my chance.
I don't know. I like this movie. I mean, I discovered this movie when I was about 18. I was living in Ottawa, which is in Canada, for those people that are listening from the US or wherever the fuck else you are.
All our Italian fans.
Hey. And I was pretty nocturnal at that point. Like, I was sleeping all day. I was getting up and spending all night just kind of watching movies, playing video games, whatever. And I was living with relatives because I was visiting in Ottawa. I'm not from Ottawa. So I was there for like 6 months or something like that. And it just so happened they had a big stack of VHS tapes that have movies and stuff recorded off the movie network. And this was one of them. And I hadn't seen it. I hadn't heard of it before. And I popped it in and I watched. I was immediately sucked in. I was like, this is great.
That is like the perfect way to find it too. Just like a total random, just stack of movies. And this is just in it. Yeah, that's fucking wicked. And yeah, like when my friend Matt told me about this, he didn't tell me about it like, oh, you got to see this hilarious movie. Like, all he really remembered was the ending. And he's like, yeah, we got to watch this. It's one of the few movie endings that will legitimately freak you out. You know? Like, I do think all the stuff, like people finding and picking out all the weird, funny shit about this movie, that all came later. Because, yeah, initially, it was just like, it is one of those movies where it's like the ending makes the movie. Definitely.
So you've got like a group of guys, most of which look like they're adults. A couple of them look like kids.
Immediately get angry at the girls about something and are just like, well, fuck you anyway. Let's all take off our fucking clothes.
They get
skinny dipping.
They get mad at the girls because they wanted to skinny dip, and the girls were like, nah, we're not going to do that.
We all got dongs. We can't.
Any of you ladies interested in a moonlight canoe ride? Hey, come on, I won't try anything. I promise.
So I guess, too, I mean, I didn't really pay too much attention when I watched it last time of who got killed and why. But I guess it is all just people that wronged Angela, right? So first, obviously, the pedophile tried to pedophile her up. And then...
Pedophile her up.
And then this dude was all just like, hey, Angela, why are you so fucked up? So obviously, he's got to die now. Like, it's not complicated, but it's good. Like, it is legitimately a better motivation than most 80s horror movie villains have.
But it really genuinely is a good movie. I mean, I don't subscribe to the idea that these movies that were made in the 80s were bad at all. None of them were really bad. I think they all had a certain charm that you don't get nowadays. You know, for every 100 movies that were made in the 80s, you might be able to say one or two was crap. Whereas nowadays, it's like totally the other way around. For every 100 movies, you might be able to say that 2 are good.
How does this even... I don't even remember how this guy dies exactly, because See, he tipped the canoe himself because he's a fucking idiot.
I think Angela strangles him with her cock.
Right. His death corpse, too, it's one of the best. With, like, the water snake crawling out of his eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and this is where they're always doing the, you never see the identity of the killer, but they're always just like, oh, it's you. I should have known it was you. But yeah, as far as like, yeah, like these movies being bad or whatever, it is more, I think, especially in the case of this movie, like just that the guy, because it's the same dude who wrote and directed it, he just had all these like ideas of shit he wanted to put in that in a modern movie, some studio person would say like, take that out, you know? Like there's nothing like unique in movies now like there was in these movies. Okay, there we go. Drowning time. Like there is definitely shit in this movie that is totally bizarre, and it's like I do not understand why that happened. But that's what was so great about these like lawless times. It's like you could do that.
And another cutoff shirt.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, when they talk about like auteur theory and stuff of like, you know, you can tell a Tarantino movie or you can tell a Wes Anderson movie because they have these like themes and these styles that they reuse. That's what this is like too. It's like this movie, something about this guy who made it, it's like we gotta have nude men, we gotta have cutoff shirts, we gotta. This has gotta be there. It just like gives it this weird, unique flavor.
And like every 10 minutes at least.
Yeah, and the way like everyone gets so angry so fast and it's like 0 to 10, but it like builds a little world, you know? It's like this is just the world we're in, where this is an angry camp and people are so pissed, but this guy, he's fucking, everyone gets so mad like in a second. But it also kind of helps with the like who is the killer in this movie. So good. There's the corpsey. The fucking man, that is the best. Just a snake climb. Like, how did that happen in one night? That guy is fucked. but that's awesome. I guess maybe if he's been in the water all night, I guess she'd be pretty fucked up.
Of course he could. He was horsing around, the canoe tipped over.
Okay, so I mean, as far as like distinct problems in this movie, definitely this guy's mustache is an issue. So not his mustache now, that's fine. He's got a nice mustache.
A nice manly mustache.
Yeah. But I'd forgotten all about that till I rewatched it, of like when he comes back at the end. It's right at the end too. It's right when this movie is building to its like most climactic moments. And I guess the actor just shaved his mustache. And I mean, I don't know, it was weird. It's like you gotta think about their thought process, right? Of like, there's no reason why he needed the mustache. People shave all the time, but maybe they thought audiences would be confused. They wouldn't realize it was the same cop.
What would it matter if it was the same cop or not?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what led them to the decision to use not only a fake mustache, but like a vinyl mustache made from like electric tape or something?
It was just straight up electrical tape. Straight up. And it was like, just straight across. Like, it wasn't, you know, there was no fashioning anything with it. It was just there.
Yeah, maybe it was one of those things they just thought, like with they were all nighttime scenes, and maybe it's just like, oh, don't worry, on camera, it'll just look like a mustache. I don't know, because like, again, this is not an inept movie. All these scenes are shot really well.
The editing is fantastic.
The editing's good. Yeah, everything is very well done. How did the mustache thing happen? Like, because, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna... I mean, I'm glad it's in here. It's just another weird wrinkle of just something bizarre about this movie. But you can't really defend the mustache. That's just insanity. Somebody just like... What the fuck was that?
All of a sudden, Angela is deciding to finally talk for the first time in this movie to a loser who... There was no introduction. They weren't, hi, how are you, whatever.
I guess she just knows that he's Ricky's friend, so that sort of helps. And I guess he's just non-threatening. Yeah, I don't know. He's the only guy in camp that probably has a smaller dick than her. And yeah, the classic bitches that are just like super bitches. That one's named Judy, in case you're wondering. Has Judy written on her shirt?
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
And her name is Bandana. Red shorts bandana. Back to the Angela stare.
Are you sure you don't want to play? I'm sure. Is there anything you would like to do? Go sailing or something? That's okay. I don't mind watching.
See, here's a nice camp person who's not gonna get murdered, but red shorts bandana chick, not so much.
Yeah, she gets it pretty good too.
There is a part, like, once shit really gets crazy at the end, there's a bunch of campers that are off doing like a little side camp thing that all get killed, and I don't know what they did. It's like just kind of by the end of the movie, so it's like, who cares? Let's not worry about it. It's just everything's getting crazy. But afterward, when I was thinking about it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure everyone else, quote unquote, deserved to die. But they just threw in these extra murders that are just like, whatever.
They have big cocks.
Yeah, it's not acceptable.
Where are we going?
Yeah, and this is just weird that Judy is like, 27, and Ricky is like 14.
And he's like all trying to mac on her, like, remember when we had fun last summer? And she's like, fuck off, I'm into sucking cocks.
You know another goodnight kiss?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
She's got her first erection. She doesn't know what to do.
I gotta go poop.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It'd be weird to remake this movie. Like, I mean, it would be like impossible. I don't know how you would ever do it without like all these activist groups getting mad at you.
Oh, you couldn't make this movie now.
But it is really. I mean, it's almost more relevant in a way, because like that's such a big issue now of like trans people, and it's like a whole thing that is like just a part of society now, and in its own weird, fucked up way, this movie is kind of dealing with that of like, except I guess reverse now, because I guess it would be like the trans thing is you feel like you're the other gender and you're in the wrong body, where I guess this is just your fucking aunt made you be the other gender. I guess it's different. This whole subplot where they just keep fucking with this one kid, I don't know what the point of any of this is. Just
I know, but you notice he's got a nudie magazine in his hand.
That's a good one too, the shaving cream in the face, so you just like tickle somebody's face so they touch their face. That's actually a pretty good prank. That's way better than just putting a kid's ass in someone's face. He's just gonna fucking kill you.
They pulled a prank on this kid with shaving cream or whatever, and immediately this kid pulls a knife and he's chasing them like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
I guess they're just adding too, though, to like there is definitely a pretty good handful of people that could be murderers. I guess that's what this is about, right? Is they'd want to add this Mozart kid to the mix. Like maybe it was him, maybe it was Ricky.
I like how he hides it in front of the kid that he took the knife from. The counselor took the knife, for the record, and hid it. Right in front of the kid he took it from.
Yeah. Nobody come take this knife or I'll make you smell my nutsack.
And it's sweaty, because I'm Italian.
It's funny too, I mean, I guess I can't really do the Long Island accent. I can only do the Italian one. Oh, here he comes. Whatever this kid's name is, macking on Angela again.
He's back for some more rape.
Yeah, that would be like, if she was like, you don't understand, I'm a boy. You could be like, I know, I knew that the whole time. It's been 1 second they've been talking, and then the bitchy chick is like, oh, let me just come be a bitch.
I mean, I guess I would say I could say something along the lines of, why would they allow that girl to wear that type of bathing suit in front of all these other people? But they let all those fucking dudes wear those gay tank tops.
Yeah, to be sexist if they they didn't let everybody just walk around in jock straps and G-strings.
That cunt's coming, I'm gonna fuck off to the water.
Now this is where the Angela stare And it's kind of working, right? Because she was just blank before. There's definitely a little more menace now. It's like, I'm getting a little fed up with this dog shit. Of everyone yelling at me for no reason.
Like, totally irrational, right? Like...
Like, come on.
You're gonna come to my shack and you're gonna suck my Italian wang.
There really is, though. There's only like two kind of good people in this movie. There's that muscly Italian man and James Earl Jones's dad, although he did passively allow a pedophile to be a pedophile. But basically, those two guys are pretty good dudes. Everyone else is a weird psycho. Oh, and possibly the kitchen staff. We don't really get to learn much about them.
You got my friend in trouble, so I'm gonna show my tits off.
Yeah, like it's such a weird, interesting scenario of like when you know, it's like one of those Sixth Sense things, like watching the movie the second time. You're like, Angela's actually a dude, and she's just got to be in this cabin with all the chicks, putting up with all this weird chick shit, and she can never shower around them. She can't go in the water. She just, everything's a landmine. Like, everything's something she's got to worry about. The fucking horny dudes are constantly trying to chat her up. Everyone's a rapist.
and again, with these early 80s movies, like, some of them are really dated by the terminology they use, because these days, like, you don't call people queer or faggots or...
You don't. I do. No.
I was kind of looking at you a little shocked, because I kind of do say all that stuff.
Yeah, it's always the 80s in my house. Again, like, what's the just fucking water balloon fight
on a roof? Makes sense.
Losers have to get more naked, and losers get naked. Winners get naked first.
Hey, fuck you, you fucking faggots. That kid's awesome.
That's what I gotta use for the little quote at the start, is just, fuck you, you fucking fucks.
You chicken shits, you fucking pussies.
Freaking out. Oh, and you know, this does kind of make sense too, because this is so a thing later at the end of the movie. Mel is pretty convinced that it's Ricky doing all these killings, and I guess this does.
Let me just cut you off for half a second there. On that roof, there was every age you can even imagine up there. Look at that.
Oh, here they are.
Look at that chunky blonde kid. What's he? 12?
Yeah, and then this shirtless dude is like easily 26.
Easy.
They're just blonde boys doing what blonde boys do. But yeah, just like that little subplot of Mel thinking it's Ricky, I guess it does help that set up when Ricky is screaming, "I'll fucking kill him, those fucking cocksuckers." Yeah, and those 80s fucking shorts, they're super short, then they're slid up the side. Like, man, that's what I love about 80s movies too, is like, no matter how much you do like an 80s homage or you try to do 80s style, you just can't make any more 80s movies. Like, we got what we got and that's it. And they're like a precious resource, you know, because it is like, you can't fake this shit. That's what's great with this movie, I guess. Yeah, is like, even the parts that are funny and weird and just strange, the fucking mustache and the weird gayness and the just insane anger, but none of it was meant to be funny. This was not a horror comedy. This was, like, I don't think there's supposed to be a single funny thing in this movie. You know?
Hey, what are you guys up to? Oh, nothing. Well, do you want to teabag each other? Yeah, let's teabag each other.
Except maybe the one thing is, we used to call them baldies. Like, that's the closest this movie makes to a goddamn joke. Oh, this is the beehive one, right? Oh, this is the fucking best. So yeah, of course, so this guy threw a water balloon at Angela's fake tit, so he needs to die.
So she's locking him in the stall while he takes a huge crap.
We slow pan up.
And you'll notice he's not wearing underwear.
That's true. It's fucking.
Wouldn't that be something the paramedics find you? And, you know, you're in the middle of taking a shit. You've been stung the fuck by all these bees or wasps or whatever.
Oh, I didn't think of that too. His ass is gonna be all shitty.
Yeah.
He didn't wipe.
Oh, playing games. Is that you, Benji? Jesus Christ, the guy can't even take a shit in peace around here.
So I guess even though they use a boy's hand and not a girl's hand, they do at least show it is definitely a kid. You know, it's definitely clear that. And this is the most insane. I mean, all the deaths are insane, but this is crazy insane. It's like, if you drop a beehive, these could be the most Africanized bees that have ever existed. And they're not gonna kill you. It's one little beehive that's like smaller than a football.
But if you're allergic, you know.
Yeah, if you're allergic, I guess maybe, yeah, it could like maybe get your windpipe or whatever and you'd fucking. He even escapes. He manages to break through the door, but it's too late. The bees have got him. The thousands of bees. But yeah, it's awesome because even though it's ridiculous and totally unrealistic, again, the makeup and shit is wicked. Like, that's so gross. Just covered in bees. But so insane. Like, how? Like,
Mel's hair is ridiculous. Look at that gold fucking chain he's wearing. Oh, I can run the camp for you there, eh?
I think Vinny Barbarino here is also not wearing underpants.
Are you saying that because you can see the airline of his cock?
His tiny little wanger.
Steroids.
Yep. It's a hell of a drug. He's got nice titties, though.
Hey, I can either have a big chest and big arms or a big cock. Guess what I chose?
And old Mel's still just like, we can still make this work, man. Don't worry, the camp's not going to get shut down. Just a little death, it's still good. But he's starting to formulate theories about who could be responsible for these
Now,
murders.
what the fuck is she doing? Look at this outfit.
High-waisted pants.
The 80s.
Billowy blouses.
Movies in the 80s, amazing. Clothes in the 80s, gay.
Yeah. You know, she's really got to look on the bright side. Sure, she has a crazy aunt that's ruined her life, but look at this. She gets to have sweet 80s girl hair. She gets to wear sweet 80s girls' clothes. We missed out on all of this.
And she's got a cock.
I mean, you remember us in the 80s? All we had was those cut-off shirts and those tiny shorts that we wore all the time everywhere.
I still wear those.
Yeah. Before we get caught. Wait, did Angela just say we gotta get out of here before we get murdered? She's playfully alluding to the murders, even though she's the murderer. Oh, there we go. Oh, she kind of kissed him. If only he knew this was gonna lead to his decapitation in about 40 minutes.
It'd be a lot funnier if she like ran around a corner or something, and when the guy came around the corner, she's like helicoptering her cock.
That would be good. In 3D. Really, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm presuming too much about the guy who made this movie, but I feel like all of this has just got to be...
Here's the flashback.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to hit second.
Yeah, like, what is this subplot about? Why? Why is the dad's gay side piece... I mean, it's already... Like, it's plenty that she's been raised as a girl and she's a dude. That's all you need. You don't need this extra. Like, I feel like he's trying to express something that nobody got. Like, nobody can follow. Nobody knows what this is supposed to mean. But again, you gotta respect it. Like, this is 80s independent film. Is just like, fuck everyone. I'm putting this in my movie, and if you don't get it, then get gayer, and then maybe you'll get it.
It's a strange piece of exposition, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it really never quite comes together. There's a... Did you ever hear that podcast, How Did This Get Made? It's Paul Shearer is the guy that does it.
Yeah.
So the episode they did about this movie, they tried real hard to piece together who the two dudes were and who is related to who and everything that happened. And they talk about it for like 10 minutes and they still, like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like if you shouldn't think about it too hard because it just doesn't really work. But I feel like you don't need to worry about it. Like that basic premise that Angela was raised as a girl and is really a boy is really all you need. All this stuff extra is just whatever, just extra for when you write your thesis about this movie.
Look at this fucking moron. One guy's talking, the other guy's like doing bunny ears behind him.
Yeah, so I was gonna say though, that scene that just passed where Angela's kind of giving in a little and is making out with this dude who I still can't remember his name, Paul. But it does kind of seem like I've never heard an interview with the guy that made this, but I would not be surprised if this is all just him trying to express his conflicted feelings about maybe he's gay or bi or something and he doesn't know how to tell anyone. Because, like, that's really what's going on there, right? Like, if you're a dude, but you're dressed like a chick and some guy thinks you're a chick and you're making out with him and you don't know how you feel about it, I mean, it's got to be what this is about, right?
I like how Judy 1 minute can't give any dude the time of day, and then the moment one of them's interested in the Angela character, she's like, come on, I'll suck your dick.
Yeah, she weaponizes her titties. It's like, no, you can't have them until you don't want them, and then you must have them. Even this, right? Like, this is a well-made movie. I mean, this is a real good little tracking shot, them walking down the fucking... Like, I've seen way worse. Like, this isn't Nightmare Sisters or something, you know?
No, we can't be dogging too much on Nightmare Sisters.
Right. But I mean, just in the sense that Nightmare Sisters did not have a problem with setting up one camera and filming for 6 straight minutes, you know? Like, this movie doesn't do that. This is a real movie. Like, yeah, going through the woods on a little fucking rail, like... This is not an easy thing to do. You can't just have a shot where you go through the woods and it smoothly tracks. You can't just do that because you want to. You got to know how to do it. And this guy did it.
That those cutoff shorts are so gay.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're saying gay a lot in this movie.
And if we do Nightmare 2 next, we're gonna say gay a lot more.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's one of those things I do almost feel like it is almost like just a cultural or generational difference or whatever. Is, yeah, like, it's so... Like, it's almost weird to me that people nowadays... Judy fucking shit up making out with Paul in the woods. Where Angela and Ricky both conveniently happen to be watching them. But yeah, it's weird to me, like... I mean, we seem to talk about this a lot too on this podcast, but just the politically correct era we're in. Like, I feel like people that don't understand or claim they don't understand, you know, just using the term gay and stuff, and like that we don't mean it like a pejorative and it's just, you know, a fucking colloquial term almost. It's not that they don't understand, it's that they don't want to understand, you know? They just want to fucking judge somebody else and like, oh, you're a bad person. But we know what we mean. We know how we talk. We know what we think. And, we know we're fucking fine. We're cool. We got no hate in our hearts.
I mean, every generation has its, I guess, things. Like in the 80s, you could use terms like faggot and gay and homo and queer and, you know, stuff like that. And these days, you can't do anything. Back in the 80s, everyone smoked. Nowadays, next to no one smokes, and everyone's so sensitive about everything. Like, the whole gay thing. Like, I mean, we've already established on previous episodes of President Wallet's podcast that we are not anti-gay at all. We're not transphobic. We're not any of that stuff. But I think that people these days take their sensitivity a little too, I guess, militantly.
Yeah. For sure. It's weird too, just seeing terms change. Like if you even go back a generation before us, I was talking to my mom a while ago, and she called somebody Oriental, which it's like I felt that little twinge where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to bring it up because I'm not going to be a douchebag. But it's like, oh, you're not supposed to call people Oriental anymore. But at the same time, if you go buy Mr. Noodles, you can get Oriental flavor Mr. Noodles. Mm-hmm. Like it's like midget. It's like these words that have just disappeared, and you just got to keep up with the times of like, oh, what am I allowed to say, what am I not allowed to say? And when it's just me and you sitting around doing a movie commentary, I don't give one fuck. I'll say whatever I want. But yeah, if I'm at the library or something and I'm asking, I wouldn't ask a librarian like, where's all your faggot books? It's just a time and a place.
My mom actually is a really good example of how things have changed over the decades, because my mom is 60,
right?
And when the topic of race comes up, my mom will say things like she's not racist, and then in the next breath she says, but as a personal point of view, I don't think that people who are different races should mix. And I'm like, that's racist.
That's kind of the definition of racism. Yeah, it's funny because I guess that's like that's kind of almost the reverse of us, right? Where, oh geez, so yeah, Mel has officially accused Ricky, and or not officially accused Ricky. He's just, why are you always defending Angela? That's it, because he thinks Ricky's doing the killings because he's angry people are bullying Angela. Which, yeah, pretty good theory. Anyway, they just threw Angela in the water. She obviously doesn't like that because she doesn't want anyone to find out about her wang. But yeah, I was gonna say that thing you're saying about your mom is funny because, yeah, where she would say, like, hey, I'm not racist, and then have a racist opinion, where we're like the opposite. We say crazy shit, but we actually don't have the opinion. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like we say the stuff as a joke, but we don't actually think any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't care who does what or where whoever is from, which is, I mean, excellent English just now on my part. I really don't care. Be who you are. Be from wherever you're from. So long as you're not bothering anyone or stomping on their opinions or their rights, then who gives a fuck?
Man, I remember too, like, yeah, going back like 2 generations, both of my grandmothers were weirdly racist in different ways, but on my mom's side, oh man, she didn't even try to hide it. She just hated Native Americans. Hated them. It's just like, well, all right, Grandma, what am I supposed to do?
It's funny that you mention that, because growing up on the street that I grew up on, Dune Street, back in Fredericton, which is in New Brunswick, for those people who aren't familiar with it, there used to be a lot of fighting that went on, and we lived on Dune Street, and then there was a small patch of woods that separated Dune Street from the native reserve in Fredericton. And
even that, I almost felt reverse subconscious when I just said Native American earlier, because we just said Indian. That's what we always used to say.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even, what do I say, Native Canadian? I don't even know how to be properly politically correct. I can't do it right.
So the Dune Streeters always fought with the natives. And the natives would come to the top of the street, but they wouldn't come on the street because they knew they weren't in friendly territory.
It is true too. Like, you grew up on the only street that was like tougher than their street.
Yeah.
Like the only one.
They wouldn't come down because they knew that bad shit was going to go down. But they would stand at the top of the street and try and get us to come up so that we could all fight. And we had chains and bats, and it was stereotypical 80s shit, right? But I remember this one time, there was these 2 guys, two of the only black guys that lived on our street. One of them was such a nice dude, whose name I can't remember for the life of me, but this guy was getting off work. He worked at a hotel across the river because you couldn't get a job on our side of the river with our street address because they wouldn't hire you.
All right.
And this guy was coming home from work, and the natives started yelling down, "Come on, nigger! Come on, nigger! let's fight, let's go, fucking nigger. And he turned around and just nonchalantly turned around and he's like, nigger? He goes, you're calling me a nigger? He goes, let me tell you something, you guys ain't even real Indians, because when y'all were here before you got mixed up, you were blacker than me. You're the niggers. Yes, I used a bad word. No, I do not use it from a personal point of view. No, I do not condone the use of the word. I was telling a story that actually happened.
I use it sometimes when I'm singing rap songs. It's the truth. I do it.
Did you ever see that news thing about this lady, this black lady who's like 93 years old? They did a newscast on her. She's like 93 years old. She's still driving her own car. And the newscaster was like, yeah, old Betsy's 93 years old and still rolling. And then he's like, here's to you, Betsy. This song's for you. And they queued up the wrong song by mistake, and it was nigger, 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 nigger.
So we just missed another insane fucking death that could never happen. So Meg is getting ready for her big date with Mel, which is just fucking weird. And I guess she likes power, and he has power, right? She's attracted to the power at the camp. So her camp was too many girls lined up to use the shower, so she went next door to use the shower. And fucking Angela stabs through. I mean, that was like an aluminum shower, right? She fucking stabs through it into Meg's back and pulls the knife down. Like, I feel like fucking Michael Myers would have a hard time making that kill.
Don't you talk blasphemy about Michael Myers.
Well, because I mean, like, Jason could do it. Michael Myers could probably do it. And Freddy could do it because he's a magical dream man. I don't know how this 70-pound fucking girl did it. Well, it's the power of the Wang, I guess. but it's so intense, like, just so the brute strength is insane. And it's great coming up here when Mel goes to check. Is he walks in and is like, yo, Meg, well, you hear what's going on? He doesn't say yo.
Yeah, because he's old, right?
And she tumbles out of the shower at that exact moment, which makes no fucking sense. I have no idea why that happens. But anyway, yeah, so these kids, like all these other kills, they're like, yeah, this has all been dominoes set up. Someone acts like an asshole. Fucking Angela kills them. These kids, I don't know what they did. I have no idea. I think they just add that to the body count just to make the ending more crazy feeling. But it works. It just makes no sense. I have no idea why these kids need to die. It's cool though when they show the kids like dead, because they don't really show it. It's like the only death where they don't really show the corpses. You just kind of see this jumble of stuff that could just be a pile of blankets. It's mostly just the insane music and the reaction that gives you that creepy feeling of like, oh man, a bunch of just little kids got killed. But it's kind of cool that they don't really show it.
Look at him, these two little kids are sleeping. He's like, I'm going to leave these cocksuckers in the woods.
Yeah, and I can only assume it's just because, I don't know, I guess Angela's mania is just hitting a fucking crescendo and she just got to get it out. She's got to fucking do some murders. But these ones, yeah, these are the bonus feature murders. They don't really fit.
Oh yeah, shit's going down. There's Mel. It's like, I've been waiting 20 minutes to get my cock sucked.
Man, this whole thing too, it looks so much like Wet Hot American Summer. It's just fucking ridiculous how close it is. Nice, we got a little cat purring. Fucking on the commentary.
Yeah, she stalks me like every night. Like she's fucking ridiculous.
Quick, under the bed.
And we got a guy here on first base.
Judy really is a real dumb bitch. Do you have to kiss so wet? Mel has that kind of almost like gorilla-ish sort of His hands, like when he walks, his hand palms are always like palm behind, and he just kind of lumbers around. It is just the way his shoulders look, his big weird mouth. He's just a weird looking guy.
Looks Italian.
Yeah, and he's just like, hey, have you seen Meg around? Where I come from, we call him Baldies. Like, he's not much better than that fucking... I mean, I guess technically on the stratas of pedophiles, at least Meg is fucking post-puberty. But still, it's still creepy. Man, it must be tough being a Judy, where it's like, I grew up faster than the other girls. I'm hot, I'm willing to put out, but my personality is so shitty that guys still won't hang out with me.
Yeah, like that. If that guy had stayed, he was getting blown.
But yeah, he's just like, not worth it.
I'd rather get blown by Angela.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go skinny dipping with the softball team. They'll all blow me. Fucking human centipede of cocks.
Be like a big choo-choo train. We'll all have jingle bells on our chins.
How many guys do we need if we all put our dicks in each other's asses to make a full circle? Let's find out. Oh, here it comes. See, like, I don't know how, just... Whoa! The timing. And again, so yeah, music way too loud.
Not you, Meg. Not you, Meg.
And I love how they keep doing this. The music's way too loud, and they just keep cutting back to the corpse over and over while the person that found the corpse freaks out. It's awesome. Show Meg one more time. I dare you, movie. Let's see that corpse. He looks back for one more shot.
He's like manic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's all like sex crazed and angry. He's got an angry boner right now.
He could have still used it.
Oh, and this is awesome. I mean, this is one of the all-time great kills in a horror movie.
Oh yeah, the best, for sure.
So that's a weird shot. The version of this movie I watched, that was not as clear. I think this cleared up Blu-ray actually made that scene kind of fucked it up, where the silhouette in the doorway, you're not supposed to be able to tell who it is, but that was definitely Ricky in a weird wig, right? Like they were just kind of mashing up the characters. But anyway, Judy's about to get fucking a hot hair iron up her fucking cooter. Like,
look at her. Finally, she fucking smokes her. Like, Angela's like, I had enough of your shit. Whap.
And that same thing, you're just like, oh, it's you. Yeah, like, oh, this rules.
Oh, man.
This, I guess I understand how this movie doesn't have a lot of jokes in it. They definitely knew this was a funny, crazy, fucked up thing to do. Like, what the fuck is this? This is insane. Yeah, like, as far as, like...
Oh, man.
Like, the top... This is probably a top 10 80s fucking horror movie kill. It's so insane. Like, what other movie would even think of this? That's so fucked up. Like, what the fuck?
Like, your cooter would be ruined.
Yeah. Yeah, death is a fucking... And I guess she technically dies from the suffocation, I guess. But, yeah, like, death is a welcome reprieve after that.
Those bacon strips got fried. Oh, it's so bad.
Fried clam. Oh, yeah, and here... See, like... It's, like, I don't even quite know what we're looking at. Just kind of miscellaneous fucked up bodies and mostly just torn up blankets. But I just love that scene. It's so... Because it's more like his reaction that really sells it. More than the money shot of a bunch of dead kids. It's just...
His reaction to those dead kids is better than Mel's
yeah.
reaction to the girl that was going to suck his dick getting killed.
And it is like, yeah, even though I don't know what that's all about, they always cut back for that one more shot. I fucking love it. Yeah, so even though that doesn't make any sense, it probably should have been cut. I like it just because it makes, like, the ending of this movie. Like, I love how quick this gets rolling. Like, there was all that weird stuff at the start where let's just play baseball, let's play water balloons, let's fucking dance and swim naked like fucking super gay guys. But once you get over that establishing gayness, like, this movie really fucking comes together quick. Like, we're already at the big finale. And it really is, like, you just feel that, like, that's part of, I guess, what is so great about how weird this movie is. Like, that it's
Look at this kid. He's drowning his sorrows in sugar.
Yeah. But yeah, this the feeling of this movie, of just all the little weird details, this is where it all really, like, it just feels like weight, right? Like, at the end of this movie, it's like the tone of just like everyone's freaked out and everyone is dying, and it's just, it really builds up good. Like, even though it's that final moment that really does it.
Oh, I forgot about this. Mel going all fucking...
Yeah, he goes double ape on him. He just super gorilla smashes this kid.
Just smokes with the face.
It gets way worse, too. Is where he just starts fucking pounding him. Bah! Fuck you, kid. Like, that is so insane.
Fucking hammer fists.
It's like the...
that motherfucker's going to jail.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is especially where, like you were saying earlier, how it's really not fair to call this a bad movie. Like, this whole end part, like, you've got to be good at crafting a movie to make the end of a movie feel intense like this. Like, it's not an easy thing, and this guy fucking did it. It's you. It can't be you. Time to die, motherfucker.
Right in the neck.
That was a good effect, too. So yeah, Mel just got an arrow through the neck. Thanks a lot for beating Ricky half to death. Oh, and here we fucking... Mr. Mustache is back. See, it's not so bad from this long shot. You can't really tell. It's not like... It doesn't look too bad in this shot. If this was all it was. But again, they should have just not. Like, they should have just had him not have a mustache. I guess, too, like, you'd think, like, how hard is it to get a fake mustache? But if he just showed up to the set without his mustache and they're filming at night, like, yeah, what are you gonna do? Go to the mustache store that probably doesn't even exist in this fucking state?
Well, and back then, adults grew full mustaches in like a day.
Yeah.
Crazy stare.
Oh, and her hair's all crazy. Yeah, like, this is, like, great, man. I love this last, like, 20 minutes is so fucking good. Crazy Angela getting naked. Pete, you don't know what's good. You don't know what you're doing.
And cops out searching for everyone with their flashlights. Captain Electrical tape there.
There was a line, too, we missed earlier, but it's, like, one of my favorite lines of this movie where when the cop first shows up and he's explaining what he thinks happened, and then he just goes, but again, I'm no expert. It's just like, you don't need to say that.
Yeah, should be. You're a cop.
Yeah. And then Mel just fucking railroads him of like, no, that's not, it was just an accident. He just drowned. It was fine. And the cop's just like, I guess it was fine. And they just stare at Ricky. And then they're like, oh, good, he's alive. Like, why were they just staring at his corpse and no one touched him?
Aside from a little bit of blood, like, Mel must be some kind of pussy because those hammer fists didn't do shit.
Yeah, Angela would have fucking finished the job. But it's funny that Angela is almost like on the level of like a Michael Myers or a Jason, of just her ability to just fucking, or even of a Freddy Krueger with her fucking bee deaths and stuff. Like, if she wants you to die, you're gonna die. See, this is the shot. That's where it's like, no. You can't do a close-up on that guy's face. Like, that's where the mustache gambit is over.
Oh, that's perfect.
You kind of got away with it, but not. That's too much. Wait, what was he freaking out about? Who was dead in there? Just Meg?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't more random dead camp fucking kids.
And there's Vinnie Barbarino. And 1984 Parker Posey.
Yeah. Flashlight died. Oh, and here it is, man. Here it comes. Oh, god damn it. This is so good.
She looks kind of like one of those crazy cave people dioramas.
Yeah, totally. It just, like, this is a genius little shot of just her fucking cradling this dude's head. But the head's not attached to the body, you know? And yeah, here's where we finally get the big reveal. That fucking crazy ass aunt is gonna raise the boy as a girl. It's weird too, you can see her breath on this set. It must have been like freezing, and I don't know why. It's just a weird thing to happen inside a house, but so this must be like right after that accident, right? Judging by the huge bandage on this kid's head.
Yeah, probably.
Da, da, da. Oh, god damn it, that is fucking, like, especially if I saw that when I was a kid. Like, imagine if you saw that when you were like 9. You're having nightmares that night. Like, what the fuck?
Look at that. Oh, so fucked up.
And again, like, yeah, this is where this movie just holding for way too long on a thing always works. It's always creepy as shit. And yeah, this is so great where it just does this creepy ass fade to this green. Like, that is fucking scary. And then credits, and it just stays on it. Like, I've never seen a movie do this before. That's so fucking weird.
Such a good movie. I mean, I don't know. We tend to pick movies that we genuinely enjoy. We've had a few exceptions where the movies weren't that great. But for the most part, we typically pick movies that we have a high regard for. I'm going to go ahead and rate this one myself now. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 because, I mean, the movie's fucking 40 years old, or going on 40 years old, and it still holds up.
Yeah, I mean, I always go with like the letters, and I would just give it an A. If I was the teacher, I'm like, you get an A, you did it.
Yeah, I guess we're doing a letter rating. So yeah, I'll give it an A as well. I mean, I kind of stay away from the pluses or the minuses, but yeah, I definitely give it an A.
Man, yeah, and just like, and I love that this song is such a perfect mix of like, it's like an 80s, you know, kind of weird new romantic style fucking pop song, and it's all about like, oh, the boy for you, the girl I love, whatever, but it's also just kind of creepy with the weird organ and stuff. And when you put it on top of this fucking image, what the fuck? You know, it's just like, that's, to me, that's like one of the best things you can do. Like, there's a lot of stuff I love about this movie all the way through, but the ending, like when a movie can stick the ending like this, it's so rare and it's so awesome. I mean, this is like on the level of like the end of Seven or something. Like, just one of those endings where you're like, holy shit.
I haven't watched that movie in a long time.
Seven?
Yeah.
It still holds up. It's real good. But again, just one of those things where without the ending, it wouldn't be half as good. But the ending just like brings it all together. That's one reason why I never watched the sequels, is because like they're just not going to be like this, you know?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, sequels are almost never as good as the original. Sometimes, though, they really nail it, you know? But yeah, like, the next two Sleepaway Camps are nowhere near as good as the first one.
And I guess I did watch that, you know, the fourth one that this guy did, and yeah, it definitely wasn't as good. It was actually very bad. But
It's almost like some sequels, if they're not at least good, they don't have to be equal. They just have to be good. It's almost like if they're bad, they ruin the memory of the original.
Yeah, I used to feel that way a lot. I'm better now that I'm older, just separating in my mind. Like, I can just be like, well, who cares about that other stuff? And those are short credits, too. That's the other beauty of an 80s movie. And now here we're just holding on. Like, god damn it, man. This would be like... I would do dumb shit if I had a time machine. I wouldn't do anything practical. I would go back to 1983 and I would interview people after they left the theater and just be like, what do you think about that? Huh? Fucking 1980s fuck. Are you freaked out?
Did you think that wiener looked delicious?
Because this whole movie is supposed to slowly indoctrinate you into wanting cock. But not big ones. You got to start with small ones.
Yeah.
So even that, yeah, I never noticed till just this time we were watching that the first shot, even before they show the kids getting killed, was the camp and the for sale sign. I assume that's after these events, right? Like, these murders were so brutal that the camp was done for. And then they go to the flashback and then forward again.
And then the sequel, of course, the camp is bought by someone else and reopened and yada yada, wash, rinse, repeat. Although I guess not really wash, rinse, repeat, because Angela in the sequels had spent time in a mental hospital and get a sex change.
Oh, right.
So permanently a female.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of seems weird that the sequels are even... They should kind of just be their own thing, right? Like...
So yeah, I mean, this was Sleepaway Camp. We both give it an A rating. Highly recommended. Definitely buy the Scream Factory edition. Scream Factory, I mean, there are a few companies out there, and I said this before and I'll say it again. Scream Factory, Arrow Video, these two companies in particular really nail it when it comes to cleaning up old horror movies, old cult classics, and making them watchable by today's standards with your 1080p or your 4K TVs or whatever. Like, this looks like it was filmed, 5 years ago maybe. The picture's really good. The textures are good. The sound is good.
If anything, it's like that one scene where you're not supposed to be able to really make out the silhouette before Judy gets killed, but now you can actually see it really clearly. So it kind of messed up that scene, but it's a good example of how good this version is. Like, everything looks so good and so cleaned up that even those scenes that are supposed to be a little... That one scene where you're supposed to not be sure, you can just see it now, which is weird.
Like The Exorcist, the scene where Regan is levitating off the bed after she's possessed. Like, she's quite high off the bed. You actually see the strings. That's how crystal clear it is.
Yeah.
That they used to levitate her, because of course there was no CGI back then.
Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if you could see that stuff in the theater, or like if it's even better than the theater version now.
It is better than the theater version, yeah.
Wow. It would have been funny as a bonus feature if they CGI'd a real mustache onto that guy.
They could have. I mean, there was a scene in E.T. that they digitally removed the gun.
They put in fucking walkie-talkies, yeah. Or, it'd be like the reverse of the Batman versus Superman, where they had to digitally remove Superman's mustache. Just be adding in a mustache.
So, I'm Ray.
I'm Keith.
You can find me on Instagram at BoraHero77. Just listen to one of the other podcasts for the spelling. And also the same thing on Twitter. So Twitter and Instagram, BoraHero77. Go ahead, drop a line, follow, rate, review, all that stuff. And you can find Keith.
And I'm just Keith McNally. Keith McNally on Twitter. So I guess there's only one thing left to say.
Fuck you all.
I'm glad you remember, because I was going to say go fuck yourself. I can never remember.
Fucking terrible. You should leave that in.
Yeah. Man, I was just thinking, this will be the post show after the post show. So we've just been watching the Sleepaway Camp loop at the start of the Blu-ray. If I go to like a horror convention or something someday, I gotta try to get a pink woman shirt that says Judy and wear it, because like you'd have to be a real deep cut horror fan to get where that's from. But I think that would be a super funny shirt.
You know what? We should get some t-shirts made. Holy fuck.
One that says Ray, one that says Keith, and they're just like Judy's shirt.
No. Even better.
I want to wear women's clothing.
Because we've been talking about stickers. We've been talking about t-shirts eventually. We should do a small run of t-shirts that say, back in my day, we used to call them baldies.
Although we could do it too, we could alter it because we're always talking about the non-politically correct 80s. We could have a bunch of them. Like back in my day, we used to call them faggots. Back in my day, we used to call them Indians. Just all this stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah, we can never wear those. Can you imagine that? We send people to our merch store and it's only these incredibly offensive fucking... But Baldies is funny. Like,
you know, me going on the rant, you know, we could have a t-shirt that was like, nigga, you guys ain't even real Indians because they used to be blacker than me, nigga.
Yeah, and like the one person that's heard our podcast is like, hey, that's funny. And everyone else is like, what is funny about that?
Man, I love that we have the little gray E by our podcast on iTunes. Like, that is actually a point of pride.
Right.
That's I love that shit.
Like with YouTube, I mostly just let it fly because, hey, whatever. It's YouTube. If people... Like, YouTube cares if some fucking 12-year-old kid finds our podcast and we swear. Except the Nightmare Sisters one, just because there's so many tits. So I marked it as like, yeah, this one is, you know, it's mature audiences only.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck, that movie.
Such a good... Oh, and yeah, I mean, since we're still rolling or whatever, my fiance Angela, ironically, and I...
Have you checked yet if she has a dick?
I'm pretty sure she doesn't.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
So... We went
whatever.
We went to Horrorama, which is a Toronto horror convention that happens annually, and we were fortunate enough to meet Linnea Quigley, who was in Nightmare Sisters, and she was also in Return of the Living Dead and Night of the Demons and Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Savage Streets, like good classic cult horror movies. And she was so fucking nice, man. Like, she was a sweetheart. She came out, she gave me a big hug. She autographed one of the pictures that they have at the tables, like I had mentioned before, that are ready for you to have autographed. We got our picture taken with her. And then later on, while I was at Suspect Video's booth, because I was looking to buy movies, she must have been coming back from the restroom or something like that. But she passed me. She's like, "Hey, it's you," and she gave me another hug and was
nice.
like, really? Like,
that's fucking sweet.
Yeah, she was so nice, like so friendly, so engaging, and she too, although she wouldn't use the same terminology I'm about to use, thinks Linda Blair's kind of a cunt.
So, yeah. So it's official. I mean, we've got confirmation.
Yeah. So that's it. We told you where you can find us. We said fuck you all, but I'll say it again in one moment here. You know where to find us. You know what to do. Rate, review, send us any feedback, positive, negative. We don't care. We want to hear it all because it'll help us grow. So on that note, this is the actual...
Help my cock grow.
This is the actual, honest to God, fuck you all.
Sweet.